college. And I moved down here from Los Angeles, I guess about 5 years ago. And I lived in New York for a little while, Los Angeles for a little while. And as I went to grad school in Los Angeles, well, there's a couple of things going on. I've heard the phrase down here that it's a little pond and you can be a big fish in it. That may very well be the case, but it still doesn't change the fact that it's a very little pond. And so to do anything in there, to grow, right, the pond limits the size of the fish. And in order to grow as an artist, get the hell out of San Diego. And I don't mean move away and never come back. I mean show other places. I mean go to LA every chance you get. See every show you can. Go to every gallery you can. Go to Tijuana. Go to Mexico City. Book a vacation and go to New York and hit every gallery in Chelsea and get out there. You know, how do people come, how do you get people to come to San Diego to see art? Well, first you have to bring it to them. You know, why can dealers sell work at Basel that they couldn't sell in their hometown? Because someone has invested the time to bring it to Basel, and therefore someone thinks that it's worth something. You know, you're in LA, that's a great art market. I've got plenty of friends that are supported by dealers there in LA. There's incredible collectors buying work all the time, all kinds of work, and they can't sell anything out of the gallery. It's not until they take it to Frieze or to Basel or somewhere else that suddenly this work moves. So I guess it goes back to not being a prophet and, you know, in your own land.
There is going
Get
to be
out.
there is going to be our first, hopefully, international art fair in the fall in San Diego, the Beyond the Borders art fair, and there's a lot of art professionals that are involved in that fair. And it's going to be very interesting because if we can have an art fair here, which brings in galleries from outside, they will be able to see at least some of the artists that are here. It doesn't usually work so much that way, but they will at least come here. And then the idea is that even if they, that when you go to their country, you can meet them. When you go to their country, you can meet them here. So if you can go to an art fair that's in San Diego, then when you go to that other country, you'll know somebody already because you will have met them here. And I've used art fairs like that for years. Where you can see a lot of people, you know. If you go to one art fair, you can walk up and down the aisles of the convention center, and it's like you've been to 35 different countries in one afternoon.
Or one art walk. All the same.
Art walk is completely different
no,
than an art fair.
There are fairs where like you got to pay for a booth.
Art walk is made
thousands of
to
dollars.
sell bronze
As independent artists, it's hard to get in.
You know, moderate income folks.
I'm sorry, I don't.
And how many galleries are here to represent artists?
I need to
in this art fair?
I need to bring it back because we're going to try to wrap this up at least by 9. This is the last question, and this is our healing question. So here's all these problems and all these issues. So in your opinion, what can be done to improve the San Diego art scene? Not moving to LA and not moving to New York, but you know, I'm not even really going there. But what about here? What can we do locally and stuff to improve that? I guess I should start with a panel, because that's what the format was.
Well, that's such a monster question. You know, I mean, what could we do to improve the San Diego art scene? You have to do what you feel you can do. I try to bring it down to the individual level. You can't wait for somebody else to do it. That's the important thing. That's the easiest way to improve the art scene, is just to do it yourself. Don't wait. Don't wait for Robert Pincus to show up at your gallery. You know, invade his office. You know.
Write some stories for him.
But it starts with the individual artist. I just want to come back to that. It starts with the audacity of the artist.
Or the art dealer, or the collector, or everybody has to do it.
I don't mean to be glib, but I feel like kind of we sort of answered this maybe in answering the other questions. It was all about all the stuff about, you know, how can dealers be better? How can artists do what they do better? How can they have more art writing, better art writing? So I guess I feel like that's kind of an answer in a way. I'd rather hear from other people what they think.
Right. Well, I think that I spend a lot of time brainstorming with my committee at San Diego Visual Arts Network to come up with various different ideas of actual things that you can do. And I like to think about projects. You know, to have a long-term vision is good, but you know, when you're working in real life, it's nice to have a project that you can start, has a start, a middle, and an end, and all can happen in 1 year, so that you can see some sort of results. I think the most important thing that we can do is collaborations. You can't do things on your own. You can't, you know, if you're an artist, you work in isolation. But when you get into the marketplace, you have to have collaborations. You have to find like-minded artists where you can come together and show together. If there isn't a sales gallery, then you have to do that. Hey kids, let's put on a show sort of thing, and get people to come in and try to build up an audience for your work. So artists have to learn how to be more professional and to do that. New galleries, when they start off, I love to see artist galleries. I love to see community projects. But if it's going to be a sales gallery, I'd like to see somebody that is at least financed for the first 7 years, because that's what it takes to break even. 7 years of being able to pay your rent, put in advertising, travel to art fairs, and do what needs to be done. And so I'd like to see at least some realistic art galleries coming to San Diego that know what it takes to have that happen. I don't understand why the museums can't at least once a year put out a call for curated shows and have a jury curated shows. I'm not interested in seeing the museums do a jury show where artists turn in, but why can't they put out a call for curated ideas and then take the very best curated idea and give it a support and support some local curator so that they get their foot in the door. I'd really like to see that happen in San Diego. I'd like to see an art association, an association of city councils get started, so that they didn't have to reinvent the wheel every time they wanted to paint a banner in town or a mailbox or whatever, you know, and to see that association, see them share ideas, see them talk to each other about various things. And finally, although I hate to say this because of what David said, but I'd like to see more and better parties. You know, because parties are where it happens, where artists talk to each other, where you meet collectors, where relationships get built up together. And yes, you know, you have to be kind of a party animal in this business, because that's the way things sort of happen and get done, where people can discuss things. The last little idea I've got, and I've just been thinking about this in the last couple of months, is I'd kind of like to see a mini art collector competition, where we sort of went out there and said to potential collectors, put together 10 works of art that you think are fantastic and tell us why that makes a little mini collection. So actually challenge people to start thinking about why they buy art and why they want to own it and why they want to put together a collection. And then have a jury process where we choose the one that came up with the best idea, that maybe discovered some new artists, and let's give them $300 to pay for one of those works of art that they might have discovered. So I think there's a lot of ideas out there, but you know, not one person can do it on their own.